Okay, once again, welcome to another event of YANA, or You Are Not Alone Southeast Asian Mental Health Initiative. So my name is Mark Ababao, and I am from the Rotary Club of Manila Bay, Philippines, District 3810. And it is really my pleasure to be here going live with a friend of mine. You know what? I really salute this guy. I really learned a lot from him. I am maybe a motivational speaker by profession as well. But you know what? After hearing a lot of things from this guy, I learned a lot so much. I know you guys are so excited to further know. I know you guys are seeing him right now on your screens, but I know you guys as well are more excited to know more about this guy. So again, we encourage everyone to please do share our live stream link right now on Facebook. We're live on Rotaract One ASEAN, and please do share this on your organization, on your pages, on your friends, with your relatives, or to someone that you know that really maybe they need this one right now. Maybe they're suffering or they experiencing different things. This could be your early gift for them. Tag them, share this link to them, invite your friends to tune in here with us, because again, we have a lot of things in store for you guys for this evening. So now, let me share for the first time, or for the meantime, what YANA is. So actually, one of our facilitators prepared a short video of what YANA is. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, and that's it. That is You Are Not Alone Southeast Asia Mental Health Initiative East. So as I mentioned earlier, I know you guys are so excited to know our speaker for this evening, but again, I really want to read some of your comments. So can you guys please do comment? How do you guys feel right now? Are you guys excited? Or if you guys want to do a shout out, I could read some of your comments before we start. Okay, let me start by reading some of comments from my friend. I have a lot of friends tuning in here with us for this evening. I have friends from the Philippines, from Cambodia. So shout out to Marge, to Misaki, Kurt, Rench, Maria, Pauline Kim from Cambodia. Hi guys, thank you for tuning in here with us for this evening. So again, as I always say, I know you guys are so excited, but before that, I hope you guys are all safe and sound whenever you are right now. I know this is a weeknight, so maybe some of you are from work, or maybe some of you are still doing their job or doing their modules if you're having an online class for this evening. So whenever you are right now, I hope that you're all safe and sound and very much comfortable. Now, Again, I know you guys could see our speaker for this evening already. So let me introduce this guy. So I really do salute this guy. He is a 29-year-old writer based here in the Philippines, and he is a communication arts graduate in De La Salle University. And you know what? What I like about this guy, he is also a co-author of a book with R.D. Roberto entitled Ang Allowance na Hindi Bitin, or in English, The Allowance That Doesn't Run Out. You know what? I really want to read again this book in 2018. So that is the launching of the book. And currently, he is a marketing content writer for Sanitary Care Products Asia Incorporation. And now, please welcome on our virtual stage, please welcome Philip Roa.
Hey, Mark. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, maybe you could do a shout out to our viewers right now.
All right. Well, first, I'd like to give a shout out to everyone who's watching from around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it be morning, noon, or night. And of course, I'd like to give a special shout out to my girlfriend, Larise. Hi, honey. And my D group, Bros for Life, who are watching. Thank you so much for the support. And to everyone else who's about to tune in, I really hope that you learn something.
Yes. You know what, Philip? I've already shared this live stream to my friends, and they're really excited to know you and to really listen to your maybe message or speech for this evening. I know you also prepared something for us. You have a lot in store for us, and I'm really excited personally. But before that, I think I need to ask this question. This is the most important question that we should ask our friends, our relatives, or even for a stranger. I really want to ask you this question. Philip, how are you? Really, how are you physically and mentally?
Well, that's a really, really good question. And that's something that's very, very important. I am really doing okay, but it took me a while to get there. Right now, three things are just really in my mind. First is the holidays, and I'm looking forward to celebrating it with family and friends. And so that leads me to my second point, which is work. We're prepping for a lot of things because next year is our 25th anniversary. I'm making sure that I finish everything for December so that by 2021, we're hitting the ground running with all our anniversary projects. And lastly, I'm really just making sure lang din I can celebrate with the people who are close to me and the people I love most during the holiday season.
Yes, that is also a must, Although we've experienced a lot of things, you really need to spend a lot of time with your loved ones or your relatives. Take this opportunity. This is a great opportunity for us, honestly, to spend more time with our family. Now, I know, Philip, you've also prepared a lot for us. I mean, your story, your situation. But I also want to hear from you, what's taking up most of your headspace right now?
Well, aside from the three things I mentioned, the holidays, family, and also finishing up work, really it was just working, really, working from home. At first, I really just thought that at first it would be a challenge, that I would slack off because I'm just at home and no one's watching me. But that really was the complete opposite. I found myself a lot more productive, and it really was more of a struggle adjusting to the change of working in a place where you were with a lot of people, and then now just working by yourself, working at home and having that independence, but also having to adjust to a different environment because you're just technically by yourself.
That's true. No, I mean, even me, I've experienced feeling that kind of, or being in that kind of situation. And I know a lot of our viewers could really also relate on that situation. That's why if you're tuning in here with us, I know that you will learn a lot from this guy, from Philip himself. So again, we encourage for you guys to share this live stream. Maybe you could tag your friends. I am seeing a lot of people tuning in here with us, tagging their friends. So you could do that as well. You may tag your friends if you know that maybe they're struggling, they're experiencing a lot of things, they're overthinking maybe. Maybe you can tag them. Again, this could be your early gift for them. So Aside from those things, Philip, I have a follow-up question with that. No? So, if it's okay with you, can you also share some of your, let's say, struggles, your experiences, the challenges you've experienced in your life, no? Even for the past few months during the quarantine, or maybe throughout your life? Maybe, or what can you share about your experiences?
Okay, sure. With regard to the quarantine, I think the Philippines is the country with the longest lockdown currently at 9 months, or if not mistaken, around 9 or 10 months since March. And as I said earlier, when I started working from home, I began to really enjoy it because there was this sort of independence and I could work by myself. And that euphoria lasted for about 2 to 3 months. After that, I started to feel the strain, because that's what some people call cabin fever, where you're just stuck in a location for a long, long time with either little to no interaction with people from the outside, or having prolonged interaction with people from the same environment. And that really took a strain on me, because I was so used, and I believe all of us were so used to hanging out with people in person. And because of the lockdown, that has been affected and actually decreased dramatically. So that was really a struggle for me, not seeing a lot of the people I saw every day on a regular basis. And then the next part was really more of just communication. I don't know if you have experienced this, Mark, or our viewers are experiencing this, but when you get simple answers like this letter K, or when you get a very, very direct text message that doesn't have any emotion because it's just through a medium, either through social media, through Facebook, through Instagram, or through text. But when you don't see the person talking, you don't hear any tone, you don't hear any voice, it's very hard to understand what that person means. And by default, our bodies revert thinking about it as a negative. And so we tend to become defensive and very emotional with how we respond, when in the first place, the intent of the message was just to convey a point across, or just really encourage. But see, without tone, without voice, without seeing the person's facial expressions, it's very different to adjust to that socially. So that's also been, I believe, not just my struggles, not my struggle rather, but everyone else's struggle as well during this time, that not just the Philippines, but the entire world has gone on lockdown.
Yes, definitely that is true. Even us, maybe it's not just me, my friends, my colleagues, even with work, all of us could experience the same thing as what Philip experienced. And it is, that's true. It's really hard for us to adjust at first. We're still, maybe some of us are still on the situation that they're still adjusting. They're still looking for something. But aside from that, Philip, I also want to know, what are the things that you've done to cope up in your situation?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. I'm glad that we're not just staying with what's happening, but with what we can actually do about it. Because even during this time that our whole world has been affected, not just on a larger perspective, but on a smaller perspective in our personal lives. Even our own circles of influence are very different. But there are things that we can do to adjust and stay mentally healthy and be mentally healthy during strange times. That's why the title of our talk today is that. Because, to be honest, it's easy to be mentally healthy when everything is more or less okay, when you have maybe one or two things in your life that aren't so good, but everything else is fine. It's good. It's easy to stay mentally healthy. But when everything, or when majority of your world or your life is turned upside down, in fact, that's why I call it strange times, because these are strange times. It's really, really tough to stay mentally healthy, or even be mentally healthy. And so the first tip I would give to our listeners and our viewers is this. First, we have to accept our current reality. We have to stop denying that there is no COVID-19, that there is no pandemic, because one only needs to look at news online or on the TV that the virus is affecting a lot of people in our country alone. From where I last checked, the infection count is, or the number of infected has risen to around 420,000 plus people. Back in March, that was just in the tens, hundreds, maybe during the middle of our lockdown, maybe thousands. Now it's reached hundreds of thousands. So it's a very, very real thing that's happening. But see, we have to accept that. Why? Because when we do, we begin to change our minds and say, okay, there's something happening that's different. Our old way of life for now is no more. And when you do that with a humble attitude, that is where change begins. Because you cannot change if you're resistant to it from the start here. It really starts here. And I'll share more about that later. And this is why Alcoholics Anonymous, this is the 12-step program that helps alcoholics recover from their addiction to hard drinks. One of their quotes is, admission is the first step to recovery. And that's true, because if you have an addiction and you want to recover, the first thing you have to come to terms with is that you are addicted, that you do have a problem, and that you do need to do something about it. And it's in the same way, because we're in a pandemic, we have to first admit that we are in one, that we are struggling, that we need to do something. And when we come to terms with that, that's what allows us to slowly make changes so that we can adapt and also stay mentally healthy. Now, once you've admitted, or we've admitted, that there is a problem or that there is a change, the next thing that I would recommend, and this is something that I've also done, is to create a schedule. I really like this tip because I consider myself a schedule-oriented person. I don't write it down, but from the time I wake up, there are certain things that I do that give a sense of order. And that's why it's so important to have a schedule. A schedule gives you a sense of order in your life. Because I don't know if you've experienced this, Mark, but have you ever had a day where you just woke up and you had nothing to do that day?
A lot. Yeah, I've experienced that a lot, yes.
Okay. What was the feeling like of waking up and having nothing to do, not having free reign on what to do during your day? What was it like?
But actually, what I felt is like I feel so tired, although I've done nothing at all. Maybe it's that is the effect of mental. But you know what? Honestly, I feel so lost during that time. I mean, same thing as you've done. You have created a schedule. I mean, that is what I usually do every morning. But if I'm not doing it, or I forgot to do it, dude, I really feel so lost for the rest of the day.
Those are very interesting answers, because, well, for one, it ties in with what I said. Without a schedule, you felt lost. The second answer you gave was very interesting. Without a schedule, you actually felt more tired than when you did have a schedule. And that's true. When you don't have a set plan or a routine, you do feel lost because there is a lot of freedom, but you don't know what to do with it. And so having a schedule, even if it's just, it doesn't have to be down to the minute or down to the hour. Maybe you can, for example, on weekends, if you have a whole weekend to yourself, maybe plan half the day to do something for yourself, like maybe eat, watch a movie, or read a book. And then the rest of the day, you can plan something that's not work related, like a hobby or talking to some friends, but at least have that routine or that plan. The second part that you mentioned, I want to zero in on that, is feeling tired. That's probably, based on what you said, that's probably due to the mental strain, because if you're not used to having that sort of freedom, your mind, by habit, starts thinking, what can we do? But because you're not used to doing something on that day, your mind just starts thinking and thinking and thinking, what can I do? What is there to do? And actually, there have been weekends where I have nothing to do or nothing planned out, and I'm not doing anything. But I experienced what you experienced. I feel really tired, or I felt really tired, simply because my mind was thinking of what I could do, even if there was nothing to do. My mind was active, and that actually affects a lot of our bodily functions, and we'll talk about it also later on. So, if you're struggling with mental health right now because your life has been turned upside down, your normal routine has changed, I'd highly recommend that you create a new routine. Um, when I didn't have work 2 years ago, that's what I did. I didn't do it on an hourly basis, but I did it on a daily basis. So what I do is I plan 3 workout days. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then in between, because I had that plan, I could work in whatever else I had to do just to make sure that I wouldn't go crazy, not doing anything or just staying at home and not being productive, not just for my family, but even for myself. The next is what I would say, or what I would call the seed method. And this is actually four tips rolled into one. That's why it's called seed. So S actually stands for sleep right. Because it's a pandemic again, and we'll get to that as we go along. Mental stress does play a factor. If you're not used to what's happening, you could do a lot of other things that could disrupt what your body is normally used to. Like, for example, if you aren't moving as much and you still eat sweets or sugar-loaded foods, that might disrupt your body because your body's not sleeping right because of the sugar overload. So what I'd still recommend is, as part of having a routine, still plan to sleep at least 8 hours the right way. I'm not condoning sleeping from 12 a.m. to around 8. Yes, that's 8 hours, but our body has certain rhythms where the earlier you sleep, the more the more organs it is able to repair. And basically, aside from that, you feel it. You feel it when you sleep late. You, even if you get 8 hours, you feel slow, sluggish. You feel terrible, basically. But when you sleep right, like for example, if you sleep from between 8 to 9 in the evening, and you wake up at 4 to 5, you'll be surprised. You feel a lot more energized and ready to take the day, and you won't even have the desire to take a nap within the day because you got your proper 8 hours. Mark, I just want to ask, have you felt that, the difference between sleeping the right kind of 8 hours versus sleeping the wrong kind of 8 hours?
Yes. So you know what? I actually knock off. I'm not able to really manage my sleeping time. There were a lot of times that I only sleep for like 4 hours every day because of work, because of a lot of tasks that I need to do. And you know what? As you mentioned earlier, it was really true because you would actually feel something different when you sleep with 8 hours than just sleeping with a minimal hours. So there's a lot of difference, honestly.
Oh, that's true. In fact, 2 weeks before this talk, my sleep schedule was really messed up. I'd sleep at around excuse me. I'd sleep at around like 10 to 11, and then I'd wake up 6, maybe 7 o'clock. Sure, I'd get 8 hours or 7 hours of sleep, but because of my sleep schedule, it was really late or close to midnight. I still would feel really horrible, and there would be times after work I'd end up taking a nap right after work because I didn't get enough, or I didn't get the right kind of rest. But then the week after that, which was last week, I started sleeping earlier. I started being in bed by 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30 would be the latest. And I saw a huge change. My girlfriend knows this because I share with her my sleeping habits. I'd be in bed by like 9:30, and then I'd be up 5 to 6. Sure, that's around 6 to 7 hours. Sometimes I'd get to sleep a little over 8. And then I'd realize I normally would take a nap after work. So I clock out at 5 and then lie down in bed and try to take a nap. But what I noticed this time was my body wouldn't nap. It would feel tired, but it wouldn't be that tired that it needed a nap. And I realized when you sleep right, your body gets the correct amount of energy it needs for you to function properly. And when you sleep right, actually, when you sleep early, your brain is able to flush out the waste that it accumulates. Yes, the brain also accumulates a lot of waste throughout the day, which is probably why when you're puyat or when you lack sleep, doesn't it feel like sometimes your brain or your headspace isn't really working well? Like it's hard to put thoughts together or to think straight. I mean, have you ever experienced that, Mark?
Yes, dude. I mean, I've experienced that even while working. There were a lot of times that I feel so tired that I was just like thinking, dude, I really need to take a long nap after this work because I wasn't able to sleep a lot. And, you know, it really affects us, not just physically, actually, but the way we think, right, Philip?
Yeah.
It actually affects us.
Exactly. When your brain is trying to tell you you need to sleep, but you have to do something for the day or a priority, your mind is already split into two. Your mind is trying to do two things that are completely unrelated because your body's trying to say, okay, wait, we need to survive. We need to get some sleep. But then because you're already awake, you're trying to focus on something. And when your brain's attention is distracted like that, you really won't be able to function. And that does also play a part with your mental health, rather. I mean, taking care of your body, because the brain is also part of your body. The next tip I would say in the seed method, which is the first E, is something I already mentioned in passing earlier. It's basically just eating right. Like I said, we're at home more, we're out less, we don't get as much physical activity. I, for one, miss walking, not exercising walking, but walking from my office to the canteen or the office building to another office building. And so, you know, those opportunities, those small opportunities and windows to burn energy is lost. So I would really recommend everyone to eat a balanced diet of carbs, protein, and fiber. You know, as much as possible, avoid sugary snacks and sweets and even drinks, because that might also affect with you sleeping right. And that's happened to me. I made a mistake one time of drinking soda at around 4 to 5 in the afternoon, and I didn't go out that day. I was working from home. I wasn't exercising that day, I think, and I just drank soda, and I couldn't sleep. I think I fell asleep at around. I couldn't sleep at the right time. I was in bed by 9. I fell asleep at 12 or 2 o'clock, and it was that bad. And you know, eating right also affects your sleep. So I would recommend eat a balanced diet of healthy foods. Again, a balance of carbs, protein, and fiber. And for sure, that is going to positively affect your sleep. And eating the wrong kinds of food, most especially sweets, will also negatively affect your proper sleeping habits. Has that ever happened to you, Mark?
A lot of times, dude. I mean, I'm guilty, honestly, that I'm not eating well because of work. You know, there were a lot of times that I wasn't able to eat even on lunchtime, even on my break. And right after my work, I just eat a lot of junk foods, and it really affects me physically. Look at me right now. I mean, I got a lot of weight during the pandemic because of really just eating a lot of foods that is not healthy or not proper diet.
You know, Mark, I really appreciate your honesty, and I can sense that the audience is really learning from the both of us right now. Yes. I like what you brought up, not just about eating the right kinds of food, but eating at the right time. And that's true, because when you eat at very long intervals, for example, if you ate at 8 o'clock in the morning and then you're supposed to eat at 12, then you didn't eat at 12, you ate at like 3 or 4 or 5 or even maybe a few hours later than normal. That is actually bad, not just because you skipped the whole meal, but because it rewires your brain into eating much more than you actually need, because you have pent-up hunger. So in a way, your body's making up for that. So while it sounds good that you're eating 2 meals a day only, what happens is your body makes up for that. So it doubles your appetite, and that's actually what can contribute to the weight gain. So no, not only do we have to eat right, but we also have to eat at the right times. Next would be the second E, which is exercise. Again, we're mostly stuck at home. We don't have the same physical activity, well, the normal physical activity of walking to and from places because there are travel restrictions in certain areas. And so I'd really recommend, if you haven't had an exercise regimen from before, to incorporate it either before work or during. So it can be as simple as just walking 30 minutes a day. If you want to shed a little weight and burn fat, the best time to work out and exercise is in the morning. If you want to maintain and just tone your muscle, I would recommend working out or walking at night. You can do this 3 to 4 times a week, spread over 7 days. So you can work out either, I'd recommend actually working out every other day, just so that your body has enough time to recover. And coupled with eating right and sleeping right, the exercise will actually give you also much needed energy to go throughout the day. And exercise also improves sleep quality. I've had friends who told me they started working out that just right after they worked out, they immediately slept better. Their body clocks got restored, and they're really enjoying it. So I would really recommend that. The last in the seed method is de-stress. Now, why de-stress? Isn't that considered part of exercise? Sort of, but in the context of mental health, see, sleeping right, eating right, and exercising is part of your physical way of helping your body be mentally healthy. But de-stressing goes straight to the mind. So what am I talking about with regard to de-stressing? So you see the picture of this person in a very meditative pose. So de-stressing is, in the context of this again, is basically just taking activities that rest or realign your mind. So one is meditating. What you can do is, before starting your day, you can actually just sit in your bed and just think about what you want to do for the day, what you have to accomplish for the day. Basically, you can plan. You can plan for your day mentally and basically prepare yourself so that when you start the day, you know what's priority number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's not starting the day and then scrambling everything, thinking about what to do beforehand. As they say, you don't prepare for war when you're in the middle of it. You prepare for war even before. So that's just one way of de-stressing your mind. Or one thing you can do also for your mind is to read a book before going to bed, simply because it makes you think of something else other than what concerns you, like work or family or finances. And it also trains your brain to think creatively because you're reading something that's different. So that's for the seed method. The next one would be to recreate social interactions. And this is actually a Zoom meeting of me and my office mates. We had a reading club going on a couple of months ago. And so every Friday afternoon, we'd gather on Zoom and we'd talk about what we had just read. And it was really nice, not just because we got to read again and exercise our brains, but also because we got to talk to each other. Yes, we didn't see each other in person, but it felt like it. It felt like we were seeing each other in person because we were in Zoom. And like now, yes, I'm not able to see all of our listeners and all of our audience members, but I know this is something very similar to attending a live talk. So just recreate that. You can host a virtual party with Zoom and FB Messenger rooms, and I'm really amazed at how technology has really adapted to bring back social interactions in a virtual way. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was on Messenger rooms with a couple of my friends, and I was amazed that they finally brought games. So I said to them, you know what, one of these days we'll try that, because now I don't have to go online or download a game. I can just go to Facebook Messenger and hang out with them and really just enjoy their company as if I were talking to them in person. Have you experienced something like that, Mark? Have you been able to recreate social interactions with your friends online?
You know what? What is my favorite task, maybe during the pandemic, is that I was able to really host a lot of events with my friends. So I was able to host different game nights during, via virtual. So I'm just sending them some foods via Lala Move. We have a courier here in the Philippines. We call it Lala Move. So I just send them some foods, and then we'll just do it virtual. I have a lot of friends. We're doing it. We both watching movies through. I forgot the name of the app, but maybe that's something that you could do as well. Like you could watch Netflix at the same time. That's what we usually do. I watch Netflix with my friends. We just stream it, and all of us can see ourselves watching. And we could, like as you mentioned, you could play games with your friends. You could talk a lot of things. So we could do a lot of things even in virtual with your friends.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
But actually, Philip, I have a follow-up question when it comes to social interaction. No? So, what if you're an introvert? No, actually, that is also the same question by John Mark. No, how about those introvert person? No? What's the best thing for them to do?
Okay, let's first define extroversion and introversion, because I think a lot of us here have the wrong mindset when it comes to those terms. So normally people say extroverts are those who are really talkative and energetic, and then introverts are the ones that are very quiet and reticent and just want to be alone. That's sort of true. The real definition of extroversion and introversion is this: those are just two different ways that people gain energy. So for extroverts, they gain energy by being around a lot of people. They enjoy big crowds. They enjoy places where there's a lot of people that they can just talk to or just draw energy from. That's how they gain energy. Introverts, on the other hand, gain their energy by being alone. So with regard to introverts, since their preferred method is to gain energy by being by themselves, I would recommend, yes, they maximize this time to regain that energy, but every once in a while to put themselves out there in social or virtual social events that they're invited to, just so that their friends see and know that, oh, okay, this person is doing all right. It doesn't make them very concerned or worried because their introvert friend hasn't been active at all.
Yeah, so thank you for answering that question. Again, for those people who are watching here or tuning in here with us, if you think you're an introvert, as what Philip mentioned, you could actually gain a lot of energy, you being alone, but we still do encourage you guys to please do check on your friends. So if you're an extrovert, you could actually ask your friends, how are they, what are they doing, and then eventually they will join your, let's say, your circle. Maybe if you love watching with your friends online, maybe you could invite your introvert friends as well, so that they could maybe enjoy your circle of friends. Or maybe you could actually just check in with them, ask them how are they. And if you're an introvert, I think this is also a great time, Philip, for them to discover or to learn more skills. So I think you've mentioned that being an introvert, you have a lot of things to do to gain, being yourself, and to do a lot of things by yourself to gain more energy. I think somehow, as you mentioned, de-stress, they could read books, they could watch Netflix by themselves, as long as it also give them a peace of mind and also give them energy.
Yes, that's correct, Mark. So when you've done this, you've created a schedule, you've applied the seed method, you've recreated social interactions, and things start getting pretty normal, routine, and you start to feel a bit of cabin fever because this is already your new normal. What I recommend, and this is something that I've actually done, is to change up your routine. So what I mean by that, I'm going to use my story as an example. So this is my work desk. And for the first 3 months of the lockdown here in Manila, this was my office. I woke up every day, I sat on that desk, and I did my work. And, for the first 3 months, I really enjoyed it. But then after a while, it got so boring to look at the same white wall, screen on my right, painting on my left, wooden shelves up top, although you can't see it in the picture. And so what I did was to sort of get out of that quote unquote cabin fever, I switched it up a bit. So I started working in our living room downstairs. So that's the yellow couch that I would sit on. I would just move the pillows to my left. I'd set up a table in front of me and then I'd sit there. This went on again for a couple of months until it got a bit normal again. I started getting bored because I was in the same place every day. And so this time I went back up to my room, but then I didn't sit back in my desk. What I did was I set up the desk that I used downstairs in the living room in front of my window, and then my seat from the desk I just used. So it was more of a relaxed working environment for me because I could put my feet up, excuse me, on my bed while working. So that again was a very different routine for me, and it helped. And then when that got a bit dull already, I just flipped it in reverse. So now my back was against the window, and now I was facing my cabinet and my door. And so it just keeps things interesting. Again, because you're not going out of the house to go to a different environment, like say the office or a cafe or somebody else's house to work. You have to find simple ways to change it up so that it doesn't get boring and your mind also doesn't just cave in by, let's say, waking up and then facing the same four walls with regard to working from home. It also is actually a bit stressful because when you use the same room to work and rest, your mind doesn't perceive a boundary. So when you go to your room, you immediately think, oh, this is my office. This isn't a place where I can work. You can get to that, but I would really recommend our viewers and our audience members to practice changing those routines just so that their minds can think, okay, we're working from home. For now, this is my office, but then later on, this is going to be my rest place after. Have you experienced this as well, Mark? Being bored because you're working in the same place for X number of days, weeks, or months, and you had to change location. Otherwise, you feel like you would have probably gone insane because it's working in the same area for a long period of time.
Yes, dude. You know what? During pandemic, I was actually thinking of just making my room as is. But you know what? I realized that revamping your room would actually make yourself much more comfortable in your room. So what I did is actually I made my room. So I redecorated, I revamped it into a loft style. So I actually separated my space where I am comfortable, where I could sleep, and then downstairs on my loft bed is where I could work actually. So same with Filipino, I think we could encourage our viewers also to revamp something on your place to make you comfortable and to make it something different. Because again, we have a lot of time in our houses, so we have a lot of things to discover, we have a lot of things to do. So maybe part of distressing is also doing something with your room, revamping, just maybe changing your curtain by time to time. Maybe it could also make you distress. So to answer your question, I really did a lot things on my room right now. I mean, I even changed my paint, my bed, my my wall, I mean my floor into something that I am comfortable working, and at the same time I'm comfortable sleeping.
Yes, that's good. That's good to hear. And lastly, from the things that I did to help me stay mentally healthy, I think this is something I also would want to preach and really highly recommend to all our audience members is to really consider psychiatric counseling or consider counseling, because this is the first time, perhaps in our generation, we're experiencing such a drawn out, stressful situation, and our minds just sometimes don't know how to respond or how to deal with what's happening. In fact, I was doing research a while ago, and our own Department of Health, along with the World Health Organization, re- uh, did research and found out that depression hotline calls increased pre-pandemic to current to well pandemic. It increased from 80 calls a month to 400, nearly 400 calls a month. I don't know if my math is right, but I computed that, and that's basically nearly a 500% increase of mental health concerns. And so there's I want to break that stigma of mental health, of of not wanting to get psychiatric help or counseling, because just like our bodies, when they need healing, you go to a doctor. When your heart has a problem, you go to a heart doctor. When there's something wrong with your lungs, you go to a nephrologist, if I'm not mistaken. Same with our minds. If there's something up with our minds, if there's something up with our way of thinking that needs to be addressed, I'd really highly recommend going to a psychiatrist, because not only can they give you mental counseling, but they can also prescribe you the correct medication to deal with your mental health concern.
Yes, but actually, I have a question with that though. For you, when is the perfect time to actually seek for a professional help, or maybe talk to someone professionally? Well, I mean, you've mentioned a lot of things, the perfect time, but aside from that, I mean, a lot of our audience actually experience different things. I mean, maybe they're overthinking, they're stressed, but for you, when is the perfect time to really talk to someone professionally?
Okay, that's a really good question, Mark. And in the context of what's happening now in our lives because of COVID-19, the right time to seek psychiatric help or mental health counseling would have been yesterday. And what I mean by that is, please do not hesitate. If you realize or think that you need help with your mental health, go for it. And actually, I'm going to share with you all an easy way to do that, because technology has evolved to a point where now you can even get consults online, and it's really amazing. Actually, to share a bit about myself now, the reason why I'm passionate about mental health is because I too struggle with it, and I'm slowly gaining victory over it. I have ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it was discovered since I was a kid, and now it's only, I think, around 4 years ago with my current doctor, whom I'm gonna promote in a bit, share a bit about that, I got properly diagnosed and also properly medicated. And so that's why my last point earlier was considering counseling, because it really helps. It really helps. It reframes a lot of the wrong mindsets that we've gained throughout the years. It's a lot of unlearning the wrong things and learning the right things, which I'll also talk about later. And so if you're interested in getting a medical consult, you can find my doctor, Dr. Pearl Reyes. She has a Facebook and IG page here. You can also find her on this app called Now Serving by Sirius MD. So this is what the app looks like. I have it on my iPad. I just took a couple of screenshots. So basically, it's an app where you can get appointments, set appointments, and actually meet with your doctor through teleconferencing. You don't have to go through lines in hospitals where it's not really safe at this point because of social distancing. So what happens is you can meet with your doctor, or you can meet with Dr. Pearl online on a set date. And it's so amazing, this app, because not only do I have my consultation schedules noted in the app, but it also saves the files that's given to me, like prescriptions for my medication. And I can even chat with her because when you're online and she's online and you're waitlisted, there's a number that you get. So she'll chat with you and say, oh, you can go ahead next, or I'll let this other patient go first and then I'll get to you. And so it's just amazing how much easier it is now to get consultations. Before COVID-19, I had to drive from work to go to her office, and if the line was long, I'd have to wait like 2-3 hours just to get a consult. Now I can just do it in the comfort of my own home, and it's all how do I say it? There is little to no physical contact, so it's safe for her, and it's safe for me as well. And I sent you a file, Mark, on how our viewers can actually download and use the app. So after this talk, Mark is going to share that in the comment section, or I think on the page. So just stay tuned, because I want you guys to be able to use this and also be able to take care of your mental health by getting e-consults, because it's really, really so easy right now.
Yeah, so I think what's good about this one is, as you mentioned, Philip, that you don't need to go out just to be checked or to seek professional help. With your convenience inside your home, you could already talk to someone that could help you. Because actually, Philip, there are a lot of things or factors that really affect our mental health, and that is being, I think, if I may say, some of us may be paranoid going out. So this is a good way for them to really communicate with someone as professionally, not going out, not thinking that maybe there will be some thing that might happen to them, or maybe they will be affected by COVID or something, because we could already talk to someone. That is really a good thing. Thank you, Philip, for sharing that. No, so aside with those struggles that you mentioned earlier, I know that there are some lesson or greatest lessons. No, so I would also want to know, Philip, what are or is the greatest lessons that you've learned for the past few days? So there are a lot of realization, but for you, what is the greatest lesson that you could share to our audience for this evening?
Ooh, it's kind of hard to distill that into one answer. So I actually prepared several. So first is really, again, connected to my earliest answer of acceptance, and mental health really beginning with your mind. So the first lesson I learned was actually from my doctor, Dr. Pearl, and she shared this with me, which I will share with you all now. It's that all suffering has an end. I don't know if we're all familiar with this, but if you look at history, every 100 years or so, there's a pandemic that sweeps the entire world. I mean, yes, that's not really good news, but if you look at history, that same history as well, you notice that after every pandemic, it ends. So that really just brings on the point of accepting that reality that yes, we have a pandemic right now, but you know what? It's happened before. It might happen again. But in between those times, it ends. There is an ending. There is a conclusion to that. It's not going to be like this forever. And you don't, and that's not just applicable to the pandemic. You use this in your personal life. If you are struggling in a relationship with a friend or a loved one, you can also say this will have an end. It's true. Whether sooner or later, that is going to come to an end. If you're stressed at work or stressed at school with a project or an assignment, it's also true. All suffering has an end. That homework, that task that is really stressful and has been eating you up, that that will also come to an end. The
Yes.
next
So I think
lesson.
this is a good
Go
thing.
ahead.
This is a good thing to remember to our viewers. All suffering has an end. Honestly, this is a great quote from your doctor. If you're really struggling with something, just try to remember this quote from Dr. Reyes, no? And it would really give you some maybe energy or a motivation that everything happens, aside from everything happens for a reason. All suffering has an end. So thank you, Philip, for sharing that. Go on.
Yes. All right. So the next is really protecting others. Protecting others. We, of course, it's important to have self-care, but we must remember to practice self-care without negatively affecting other people. What do I mean? Because science has proven that the more people are out, the higher the risk of COVID-19 spreading. We must take precaution. When we want to go out, we must think, okay, do I really have to do this? Can this be done at another time? Because as we have seen that, the more people are out, the higher risk of people getting infected. In fact, there was a story shared by one of the founders of our company. They have a friend that didn't go out this whole time during COVID, and they went out just once, and then when they got back, they contracted it. So we really have to be careful. We really have to be diligent and wise in discerning when or how to go out. So it can be as simple as, if you are gonna go out, make sure you wear your face shield. Make sure you wear your face mask. Make sure you wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds when you go out and when you go in. Make sure that you protect others when you do these things that you love. Because at this time, we really have to be thinking about the safety of everyone around us, not just ourselves. And then, of course, as I mentioned kanina, no, we also need to learn self-care. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is just basically learning how to take care of you, especially now, because we aren't really able to do the self-care things that we normally would want to do. I mean, does anyone here enjoy getting manicures and pedicures? I'm sure a lot of us do. Do any of us enjoy going malling or just walking with a loved one and eating outside? I'm sure we do, but we can't really do much of that now. And so we've got to find ways that we can do that, again, without compromising the health of other people around us, whether within our circle of influence or way out of our circle of influence. So I'm going to be sharing a couple of things that I did to practice self-care in a very, very safe way. So the first thing was really, I came to terms with the fact that I'm a plantito. Okay, I've had these plants on my patio for some time, and it was about, I think, 2 months ago I realized, you know what? I'm here at home, I have these plants outside, and I might as well start taking care of them. And so slowly but surely I did. So these are my Songs of India. Those are 3 pots. They're very leafy now because I water them every day. And then this is my vine plant. Again, it used to be, well, didn't used to have a lot of leaves, but now because I've taken care of it, I'm taking care of it rather, it has bloomed and blossomed. Same with my snake plant. That didn't used to have a lot of tendrils and leaves, as it were. But because I started taking care of it, it grew. And one of the things I learned from taking care of plants is it's really patience. You can't expect plants to grow overnight with just 1 liter of water. But when you start enjoying the process, when you learn to enjoy waking up at 4, 5 in the morning and then watering them, or watering them after work when your responsibilities for the day are done, it really, again, not only helps you maintain a routine, but it also helps you care for something else, because plants are living things, and you'll be amazed at how they respond when you give them the right care and attention. They weren't this abundant before I started taking care of them. So this is one thing that I've learned to do, and I've come to appreciate. And now I'm even researching, what kind of water to use and what other fertilizers I can use so that they can grow even more. Another thing that I've started doing is you're reading books. And since I can't buy books, physical books outside, without the concern of getting infected, I downloaded Kindle on my iPad, and I've bought books and also gotten books from a friend. Actually, most of these books are from my boss. She recommended them to me, and I've read 5 of 8 of these books. And not only are books great to, pass the time, but reading different kinds of genres also relaxes your mind in a way, because it takes you to a different world, and you also learn very, very different styles of writing. And so that's one way you can also improve your skills, not just in writing, but in a topic that you are very, very interested in.
Yes, you know what? Aside from that, I think you could also encourage our viewers that they could do different things. Like if they, I know there are a lot who is not really fond of reading books, so maybe you could try reading some different articles, or maybe watching series or documentaries. So there's a lot of ways that you could do to really cope up in this kind of situation. Actually, you mentioned earlier, Philip, about something that every one of us could really relate going out. But aside from that, for you, what do you think are the effects of this pandemic into us mentally, in terms of mental? What do you think are the factors that really made us think or put us in that kind of situation?
Okay, that's a really good question. Thanks for that, Mark. And I only have one answer that I think is going to be relevant with everyone across the board, and it's basically paranoia. I think this is the biggest effect of COVID-19, from washing our hands maybe every 30 minutes, or just being so afraid of going out, even to just do simple things or groceries, because we might risk getting infected, even if we take the necessary precautions, or the place we're going to is taking the necessary precautions. I really think anxiety, paranoia, and worry has just increased as well on a national and on a personal level. To share a bit about that further, I'm gonna share my screen, or I'm gonna shift my screen to this video on Netflix that's called Coronavirus Explained, and it's going to share why our bodies react this way when it comes to prolonged stress. I just want to test the volume lang, if you can hear it, no?
Okay.
Can you hear the volume?
Yes, but we can actually see the screen. I mean, the video. I think our facilitators or moderators.
Sorry,
Okay.
okay, I'll share screen again to that particular screen. Whoops.
Okay. But reminding us that even a breathing exercise, that is really helpful, Philip. You know what? I was able to share to my friends before that part of maybe self-care routine is actually having a proper breathing, right? So I think that is really great for you to share, that breathing actually really helps us.
Yeah. And it also explains a bit why our bodies are really just amped up when we face stress. It's because of it's our normal response. It's the body's correct response to a dangerous situation, whether you fight or you flee. That's what you call the fight or flight mechanism. But it's only designed, see, our bodies are designed for short-term stressors. But when the stress we experience is long-term, that can also put a strain on our bodies and minds, because again, we've never faced this before. we also don't know when it's going to end. The uncertainty also affects that. And so that could lead to paranoia because we want to preserve ourselves. You know, our regular response is to keep ourselves alive. And sometimes we can go to the extreme of being paranoid, which is why as we end this interview and get ready for the Q&A, I want to talk lastly about that's the video that I shared. I want to talk about concern versus worry and why you should prefer one over the other. Of course, I would say you prefer concern. Why? Concern is positive because concern is based on facts. Okay, you understand what's happening, you get data, and then you assess it so that you can come up with actual solutions to the problem or problems. And therefore, that makes it very positive because you're able to take action. And most of the time with concern, you're thinking of the benefit for not just yourself, but everyone involved as well. What I don't want our viewers to struggle with or to end up doing is to worry or to have paranoia or anxiety. Why? Worry is negative. If concern is based on facts, worry is just based on one's emotional, unfactual assessment of the situation. Basically, there is no basis to those claims, and it's like you're creating your own problem. You're stressing yourself out, and that's really not good because instead of being able to come up with solutions to those that problem or problems, you end up with paralysis. You're so anxious, you're so scared, you're so worried and paranoid. But the thing is, you don't know what to do, or you're not doing anything. You're just paralyzed by fear. And again, as the video clip I shared said, really the signals to be stressed or relaxed really comes from our brains. So I'd really recommend, instead of being worried, be concerned, take in information and data from what's happening around you. Take the time to process it. Yes, it's normal to feel afraid because of something you don't know or something you're unused to. But once you've assessed your emotions and your information, then you can come up with action steps so that concern doesn't remain unanswered, but you can actually come up with a solution to that, deal with it, and once you've dealt with it, your mind can finally relax and say, "Whew, okay, that's done. Now there's nothing to worry about anymore." And those are really just some tips and ideas and experiences on how you and I still need to practice these things, and all our viewers can be mentally healthy during these strange times.
Yes, that's true. You know what? The great thing about having this kind of event, Philip, honestly, is to remind ourselves, but also our viewers, to take care of themselves. No, this is a perfect time to really do practice self-care, and the same time to check in with your friends. So I learned a lot from your topic, Philip, honestly, from taking care of yourself, from communicating with your friends, and maybe from stopping being paranoid of what is really happening in our environment. No?
Yes.
Our first question for today is actually almost relating to the topic of being paranoid. I'm not sure, but again, to our viewers right now, the floor for the Q&A is now open. So if you have any question, feel free to comment on our comment section, and I will read some of those questions. No? So the first question, Philip, is actually from John Orlando Santos. No? So he said that I've been reading a lot of mental health articles online. So what I've observed is that most of the journalists use terminologies in a negative form. Now, as a mental health advocate, what's the best solution for this?
Okay, that's a really good question, but I need some context so I can answer it and give a solid one. What terms were used? what sort of terms were used, and how were they used, because just basing it from this question, no, without any other details, it seems as if the journalists or journalists don't really know how to use them in context or in relevance to what's happening. But that's just my initial take from that question. I really need to know what the specific terms were and how they specifically use them, so that I can give a good answer. Like, is it like mental health, like mental health from a positive perspective or a negative perspective? Is that what you mean, John Miranda? Just wanna clarify lang, so I can give a good answer.
Yes, but you know what? Aside from your answer, I think the best practice or best solution for this is to learn how to filter things to adapt, right? Like, you really need to think if that or those words are very helpful or not. No, it's still your choice to filter things out. No? Oh wait, actually, John Mark answered your question. It is a lack of hope to go back to their normal lives. That's some part of the article based on John.
Okay. Lack of hope. Lack of hope pertaining to what? Uh, could sige, John, could you share the article? Could you link the article in the comments, so I can also read it briefly and quickly, so I can answer your question, because that's a really good question. I just want to be able to understand where you're coming from, where the question is coming from, and where the article is coming from.
So feel free to send the article, John Mark. And again, to our viewers right now, feel free also to comment your questions. Just type in your question, and I'll read some of those questions, and I'll ask it directly to Philip. Okay. So while waiting for John Mark Miranda Santos, Philip, I actually have a follow-up question. Actually, you shared a lot of things on how to cope up stress. But do you have a specific coping mechanism that you could share to our viewers who are working from home? Aside from revamping their place, aside from distressing, do you have a specific or some other things that you could share to our viewers right now who are maybe doing a work from home, or maybe online classes? There are a lot of viewers who are students.
Okay. Two things that I would recommend. No, if you're experiencing a lot of strain physically, mentally, with regard to work or school, number one, never underestimate the power of a nap. Be it a 30-minute nap or a 1-hour nap. I've tried it after work. I nap from around like 5 to 5:30, or sometimes 5 to 6:30. It's very refreshing. It's very recharging. I know when we were kids, our parents would tell us, oh, siesta ka, which is a nap in Tagalog. Take a nap for an hour in the afternoon, or you won't go outside. And we used to hate it. And then now, as we grow up, we wish the opposite. I wish I took more naps, because it really helped me relax and recharge. So number one, please do take naps as much as possible. Number two, if you're stuck on a problem, if you can't seem to solve a task that you have for school or work, either work on something else that's not related to that task, or get out of your room and move somewhere else. Take a walk or sit somewhere else. Let your mind just roam. That could the reason why you're stuck there is because you're probably overthinking the problem, or you're stuck on the same problem too much. You're zeroing in on it. That you need to take a breather and let your mind just diffuse those thoughts, and then recollect it after a certain time. The third I would recommend is, if you're stressed, again, like I said, recreate social interaction, if you're bothered by something, don't be afraid to chat someone you trust, someone you're close with, and just rant. Get that stress off. Sometimes the best way to de-stress is to just talk to someone about your problems and get either advice or their sympathy.
That's true. Anyway, Philip, John Mark already sent the article, so you may also read that by yourself. So while reading, I could actually add more to your answer on how to cope up the work from home situation. So
Go ahead,
if you
please share. I'll please do that while I read the article and
Yes.
also listen to you.
So I actually do work from home all the time. It was really stressful. I could really relate to you guys that it is really stressful. As what Philip mentioned earlier, that you're just facing your walls or your windows or etc. But being used to that for almost 3 months or more than 3 months, it's really stressful. But what I did is I actually restyled my desk from starting to restyling my desk into revamping my room. It is really a great opportunity for me as well. While working, I could actually repaint my walls. I could buy online a lot of things. If you're maybe not kind of shopaholic, but it is maybe your way to distress, like shopping online. As what Philip mentioned earlier, maybe one of your coping mechanism is to go shopping or malling. So now it is also convenient for us because we have an app. We have a lot of online apps like Shopee, Lazada. So you could actually use that form as well to buy the things that you need. It would also lessen you being overthinking to go out or to buy things essential. So there are a lot of things that really convenient as of now. So you don't really need to go out just to spend more time outside. If you're thinking that, or maybe you're still paranoid going out, it's okay. It's your safety. It really matters. It's important. So as long as you, as what Philip mentioned earlier, as long as you know how to take care of yourself, as long as you know how to follow the protocols, you can do a lot of those things.
Okay. It's true. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. So I finished scanning the article, and while I don't have the same perspective as John Miranda about it, I do have some thoughts about the article. So it's not really that the journalists use the terminologies in a negative form, because it actually is true. There has been an increase according to the article, and according to my research, really an alarming increase of mental health concerns. Not just suicide, but even those who actually have the opportunity to seek help through the NCMH hotline or the National Center for Mental Health. But what the article presents is an even more alarming problem, because if the government has to seek help from the religious sector to deal with these concerns of mental health, that just shows, and well, I'm trying to find a way to say it that won't cause that much controversy, but that just shows the government itself was not or is not ready to tackle with the issue of mental health. And the reason I say that is, if you were ready, then you would have enough manpower or capabilities to address it without having to ask help from other sectors. And it's a bit surprising that they asked the religious religion or the church to help, because from what I know, it's only now as well that churches are warming up and opening up to the mental health and to deal with mental health problems. And so, as a mental health advocate, to answer John Miranda's question, maybe directly or indirectly in a way, the best solution really is for that stigma to be broken down, because mental health is a real problem. It's not something that you can just pray away, because doing that is like giving a thirsty person food to drink or a hungry person water. Yes, you sort of meet the need, but it's not exactly that person's need. If a person is hungry, you give them food to eat. If a person is thirsty, you give them water to drink. If a person is suffering from a physical ailment, you bring them to a doctor, to a physical therapist. If a person is struggling with the way their mind is working, or an incorrect mindset that's just been enabled for months or years, you bring them to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because that's the right response to that concern. And so really a lot of it is just acceptance. Again, like I said earlier, accepting that, yes, it's not just accept the reality that COVID-19 is here, but it's accepting the reality that mental health concerns are real, and they also need to be as dealt with, and they are just as important as other health problems we face today.
Yes. So thank you, Philip, for answering that question. So I hope, John Mark, the answer is clear. So again, to our viewers, if you have any question, feel free to ask Philip right now. So if you want to have if you have a lot of clarification based on our topic for this evening, feel free to ask. If you want to ask relating to our topic based on your own experience, you may ask Philip as well. Okay, we have another question.
Yeah, for my girlfriend. Hi, hon.
Yes. So she said that, what advice can you give to students who are struggling with their mental health, but their parents refuse to acknowledge it and just tend to downplay it as just an effect of stress or too much schoolwork? This is really a great question.
Not just because it's from my girlfriend, but no, that is a real concern.
Yes.
Not just from the students' end, but from the parents' end as well. And I'll tell you, I'll share as to why. The generation before us, or the generation of our parents, which is basically as late as boomers or as early as Gen Xers, probably didn't have that much openness about mental health. They just thought it was something that would go away, or something that was just temporary. But see, it's not. As we're seeing today, it's not. So I would first address this for parents, because you're not the ones struggling with it, but it's your children that bear the burden. And please, the parents, any parents watching this, I'd really recommend that you first accept the reality that there are mental health issues, and that your child needs help from experts who can give the right therapy and the right medication to help that. With regard to answer the question directly, what advice can I give students? That's a really good question, because when I was a student, I also struggled with that, but I didn't really know it was ADHD until maybe 10 years later. So I would recommend you speak to your guidance counselor if you have one in school, because I know guidance counselors can also help in that area. In fact, when I found out when I was a child that my guidance counselor, when I was in, I think, nursery or prep 1, it was my guidance counselor that noticed and called out that I had indeed ADHD. And see, the sad thing was it wasn't dealt with, and so now I have to take medication for life. Whereas when I asked my doctor, like, Doc, if I had been, medicated before, what would have happened? Sabi niya, you would probably just have ended up going to therapy now. You wouldn't have medication. So really, the burden is on the students. So if your parents are having a hard time accepting that, I really feel for you, because I've been there. But you can take it one step better than what I did. Be proactive about it, since you're more aware of it. If you're in school, look for look for a mentor or teacher you can discuss this with, or you can go straight to your guidance counselor and seek their advice. Maybe this person can also help solidify that claim, because di ba minsan ng mga parents, pag sinasabi na ng mga bata, ay hindi papakinggan. Bakit? Kasi galing sa bata. But perhaps if another adult shares that to them, who sees them almost every day or who has known them from previous encounters in school, then perhaps sana mas maging solid yung data and mas maniwala na yung parents. Kasi nagagaling na lang nandin sa other source, hindi lang sa bata mismo.
Yes, that's true. And aside from that, in addition to that, Philip, you could actually talk to someone. Like, for example, we have a Facebook page of Yana, You Are Not Alone. You may talk to a stranger, share your experience. So it is also a good way to maybe somehow prevent you for, being an overthinker. A lot of our viewers right now, a lot of people out there could really relate on your situation. Maybe you are a student or maybe you're working. There are a lot of different situations, but there are a lot of people who could still believe in your situation and could really relate, and also could help you in that situation. So again, thank you, Philip, for answering that question. So to our viewers, if we still have any questions, feel free to ask. But for the meantime, before we end, Philip, I think maybe you could also share some advice again to our viewers right now, or maybe a message to those people who are struggling, being an overthinker, or maybe someone who is also experiencing different things like being having an anxiety or being depressed. Do you have any message for them?
Yes. Before I forget, this is the exact reason why groups like Yana have established themselves. They want to reach out and help those struggling with their mental health. To be fair, I wish I had something like this growing up so that I could have understood myself better. I could have spoken to my peers who would have given me advice and information on what I was dealing with. So please maximize these opportunities that you have. You don't have to go out of your house. You don't have to dial out of a phone book, like a literal book that's this thick. You just have to open your phone, search on Facebook, and you can join that group. As Mark said, do join the group. Do get connected with those who you think are also struggling with the same concerns, because they can also give you really, really good, relevant advice. If you're not keen on doing that, if you're a bit private, then I would really recommend either confiding to a friend that you really trust about this. Maybe they can help you, or again, as I shared earlier, check out, set an appointment with Dr. Pearl on Now Serving, the app. See, Mark will send the instructions. It's really easy. You can also pay electronically. It's really easy. So if you can do that, then you're one step closer to being mentally healthy in strange times.
Yes. So thank you, Philip, for answering that question. So I'm just going to read a last question from our viewer, from Kevin Cantos or Santos. How can I be sure if I'm really having a mental health issue, especially when you think you're fine? Is there a way to test yourself for you to be aware of this? This is a good question, especially for those people who doesn't really want to address their feeling or maybe their stage or their situation. For you, Philip, is there a way to test yourself for you to know or to be aware of that you are experiencing different things like mental illness?
Okay. First and foremost, I would definitely say you need to get yourself checked by a professional, because it's hard to self-diagnose. I mean, if even for physical ailments, we don't recommend self-diagnosis or diagnoses, what more mental health pa? So again, like I said in my previous answer before this question, to really get yourself checked by a professional. It's really easy. It's you can just check it on your phone, or you can get
Yes.
connected with like Yana, who can give you advice. You guys do that naman din, no? You also know what symptoms or what signs of a mental health issue are, so that you can also help them and guide them. Yeah. So you guys can do that also. I have other answers that I want to give, but they are not medically professional or medical or professional, so I will withhold from answering. Really better if you get checked by a professional or get support from a group that more or less knows what they're doing. Like you are not alone.
Yes. Again, you could actually communicate with a stranger like Yana. If you want to share your experience, your situation, we are free to listen and feel free to share your situation. So thank you, Philip and Kevin, for that question. Now, again, so to our viewers, if you still have any question, feel free to ask. But for the meantime, Philip, just in case maybe some of our viewers wasn't able to really tune in with us, but they are going to watch this live stream later. Where they can contact you, just in case they have any questions aside from the questions I've read.
You guys can reach me on my I didn't put my handles pala or my social media contacts. You can reach me by my email. That's where can I leave that here? It's philip.roa@gmail.com. I'll just put it in the private chat, and then, or you guys can add me on Facebook. I think my name is on the posters on the Yana page, so you can just look for that, and I'm tagged. So my name is Philip Ezekiel. I'll also put that in the chat so people can just search for me. My Instagram is also, well, you can just search for me on Instagram. I'll also put the handle there below. Again, I sent it to you, Mark, via chat, the private chat here in StreamYard. So I really would like I really enjoyed this, especially the Q&A, because I really want to help people who are struggling with it. I went through it when I was much younger. I didn't really get the kind of help and support that you guys have now in this generation, and so I just want everyone listening to have a much better experience and really a much better mental health, so that you can avoid the mistakes I made and the things that I missed out on, so you can be mentally healthy, especially now in this really, really challenging, or these really, really challenging, strange times.
Yes, thank you, Philip. But just in case, do you have any more message to our viewers before we end our live stream?
Well, first, really, thank you so much to Yana for inviting me. This is such a great platform to talk about not just mental health, but other issues that are important and relevant to the youth. So really, good job, you guys, to Charlene, to Terrence, to Dee. Thank you so much. And I look forward to, getting to talk, being invited again, hopefully, and talking to the youth and to the young professionals about other concerns they may have. And you can watch this video again, to all the viewers. And I'd really recommend that you take what I said with a grain of salt. Don't just take everything in as gospel. Do your research, double check, triple check, and make sure that what you're doing is correct and backed by science, because this is your mental health. And as shared kanina, even our emotions come from our brains, our minds. And so we really need to stay mentally healthy during this time. And I really hope and wish all of you the best mental health you will ever experience. So God bless you guys, and thank you so much again.
Yes, thank you so much, Philip, for lending your time with us. We've learned a lot of things from you, and I just want to highlight one of the most important things that you've mentioned earlier: the seed things. The first is to sleep. Second is to eat well. The third one is to exercise, and the last one, the D, is to distress. So those are the most important thing that you actually do in this time of pandemic. No? So we have a lot of
Yep.
time. If you don't have enough time, just do a time management well, and then you could actually do a lot of things like take a nap in the afternoon. You could actually eat healthy, less junk foods, just like what I did, and also exercise. We have a lot of exercise, a simple exercise, even while working, or maybe even watching live streams or Netflix. There are a lot of things to do. So once again, thank you, Philip, for sharing your thoughts on how to deal with mental illness in this time of pandemic, in this strange time. So hopefully we could actually learn more from you soon. So we could actually hopefully we could still invite you with our future events with so again, to our viewers, also thank you for tuning in with us this evening. I know it's already late at night. Maybe some of you need to sleep because they still have work or classes tomorrow. But thank you guys for tuning in with us for this evening. I hope that you really learned a lot from Philip, and for tonight's discussion. You may share it to your friends and be someone to be a good listener to your friends, or also a good sharer. So once again, thank you, Philip, and to our viewers, keep safe. And always remember that you are not alone.
Mark, could I leave one last message? I just remembered now what I wanted to say.
Go ahead.
Viewers, invest in your mental health. It may not make sense now, but in